Today we're going to be walking through 5 of the most common Excel formulas that are designed to help you at work, in school, and even in your own personal life. So the first formula we're going to dive into is the sum formula. And to kind of give you an illustration of how this works, I've created a fictional scenario right here in the spreadsheet. And in this column, there are various companies and what they sell, the different cities they're located in, and all of their sales that are broken up by each day of the week. And the center is just their total weekly revenues. So to kind of show you how this works, we're going to come over here and we're always going to start off with an equal sign. And then we're going to type in sum, open parentheses, and now we're just going to highlight what values we'd like to sum up. And we're always going to end a formula with the closed parentheses. And you can see how the formula calculated the values of Monday through Friday. And something to note, this blue highlighted area is movable, so we can actually move it anywhere we want. We can move it to the right, to the left, up, down. The big takeaway here is whatever values are in this blue highlighted area are the values that are going to be calculated. Now, another way of doing this is by using the cheat button, as I like to refer it to. The cheat button is up here, so all we're going to do, instead of typing everything out, we're just going to hit this button, and we can see that the cheat button produces the formula for us, so it does all the work for us. The only thing that we need to do is we need to drag it. We want to highlight our values for Monday through Friday, and then hit enter. So same exact thing, just a little bit quicker. Now the final way of adding numbers up is by doing it manually. So we can do this by clicking each cell individually and adding a plus sign in between, just like this. And when we're done, I'm just going to hit enter. And you can see we've produced 3 of the same values, 3 different ways. Some are faster than others. It's really just your preference. Now to kind of expand on that, we're going to dive into the average formula, which is exactly the same thing, except instead of typing sum, we're going to type in average. Here we go. Equal sign, average. And same as before, we're just going to highlight the area we want. And then close parentheses. And we can see here, same as before, any of the numbers that are in this blue rectangle are the numbers that are going to be averaged by the formula. Now, just like before, we can use the cheat button to do the same exact thing, except this time we actually have to use the drop down arrow. So we're going to come up here and we're going to select the average function. And you can see once again, the cheat button populates the formula for us. So it does all the work. The only thing that we need to do is just drag the blue highlighted area and highlight the values from Monday through Friday, and then hit enter. Now the last way to do it is the manual method, just like we all learned in grade school. So we're going to start by adding each individual value. The only difference now is we actually have to put these into parentheses. And just like we remember from grade school, because we're adding 5 values, we need to divide by 5, and we're going to get the same exact answer. So just like the first formula, 3 different ways to do it. really depends on your preference and how much time you'd like to save. So we're going to move on to the count formula and how we can use this at work and to help us save time when it comes to going through our spreadsheet. So the easiest way to use the count formula, let's say in this column, you need to know how many rows are in this entire column. So the first way of doing it, you can do it by counting individually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, obviously, if your spreadsheet is extremely long, this is going to not be very efficient. So the quickest way to do it is simply just highlight the entire column. Then we can come down here to the bottom. Notice how Excel actually does the calculations for us. So it actually gives us the average of all of these values. It tells us there's 12 rows in this column, and it also sums up every single number. So another way of doing this is by using the count formula. So we're going to start with an equal sign. We're going to type in count. And same as before, we're just going to highlight the entire column and then hit enter. So notice how we got a 12 here, and there's 12 rows, so they both match. So you're probably asking yourself, why would I bother with this count formula when I can just highlight the entire column and have the program produce those numbers on its own? And the reason that you would use this formula, now let's say this spreadsheet only represents about half of the work that's completed. So you still have to input more of these companies, right? So this is kind of where the count formula comes in. So to kind of give you an example, we're going to input this count formula, and now we're just going to drag the highlighted area all the way down here, right? Hit enter. And let's just start adding some companies. Let's just pretend we're going to add these two companies. And we're going to make up some numbers. Now keep an eye on this count formula and watch how it's going to go from 12 to 13. So the purpose is, as you add more numbers, it's going to keep a live tally for you. So it's really beneficial when maybe your work isn't 100% complete. So that's one of the ways that we can use this. So that wraps up the count formula. Now we're going to move on to the Vlookup. Now this is something that's very common when it comes to applying for a new job. A lot of employers require their employees to know this. So this is something that's worth paying attention. It's worth paying attention to. So Vlookup. So let's say this entire spreadsheet was, all the way down the page, and we just didn't have time to individually go through each separate company. Right? So let's say we want to find out how much weekly revenue Domino's produces per week, right? So obviously, because this isn't that big of a sheet, we can just click on Domino's and say, hey, Domino's makes that much money per week. Now, a quicker way of doing this is using the Vlookup function. So we're going to start with let's type in Domino's. Then right next to it, we're going to do equal sign, Vlookup. It actually produces it for us, so we can just double click. Now the lookup value. So the lookup value is, you're telling the computer, hey, what value do you want me to find in this entire spreadsheet? And I want the program to find Domino's. So I'm just going to click on Domino's. And I'm going to start with a comma. So now the next question they're asking is, within this entire spreadsheet, where am I searching for dominoes, right? So I want the program to search for dominoes. Let's say somewhere between this red highlighted area. So it's not going to search out here. It's only going to be searching in this red highlighted area. And comma. The next question it's asking is, okay, once I find dominoes within this red area, what number would you like me to produce? So I want them to say, hey, let's find dominoes here, and I want the number produced to be this 2562, right? So the way that the program does this is by column numbers. So for instance, the first column is going to be the first column within the red area. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So once they find dominoes, I want the fourth column to be searched for this number. So I'm going to type the number 4. And then the next question after the comma is, do you want a exact match or an approximation? And I want the exact number. So for this, we're just going to type in 0 and then close parentheses. So now when I hit enter, this 2562 number should be produced down here. And the 2562 is produced down there. So to kind of illustrate how this works, so now that the formula is all set up, now we can just click on dominoes. And let's say, great, we've already found Domino's weekly revenue. Let's see what Sweetgreen does per week, right? So we're going to come down here and we're just going to type in Sweetgreen. Now when I hit enter, this 8479 number should populate right here. 8480. So it looks like they. All right, so these two numbers match. So just a really easy way to sort through a lot of information. So you know this chart right here is very small. If you had a much larger data set, that's kind of where your VLOOKUP comes in and can help you save a lot of time at work. Now, kind of an extension of the VLOOKUP is going to be this SUMIF function. It's pretty much the same thing, except it goes a step farther. So to kind of show you how this works, so let's say now we want to find out how much revenue Cold Stone does in all of their locations, right? So we want to find out this value and this value. So it's going to be, we want to find out how much they're doing all together. So they're going to add this number to this number, right? And that's through the SUMIF function. So we're going to type in Cold Stone. And then right next to it, we're going to do an equal sign and SUMIF. All right. Now it's asking for the range. So it's saying, hey, where would you like me to search? I want them to search in this column, and I want them to search for this Cold Stone, right? So we're going to put a comma, and we're going to click on this Cold Stone. So it's searching for Cold Stone in this blue highlighted area, comma. Now it's asking, okay, once I find Cold Stone, what numbers would you like me to add up? And the numbers are going to be in this column. Close parentheses. So now when I hit the enter button, what's going to happen is the program will find Cold Stone here and here, and then it's going to add up these two values, the two values of 4519 and 3778. There we go. And to kind of double check this number, we can use the original formula we learned in the beginning of the video. So we're going to type in equal sign. We're going to click on this, and then we're going to add it to this cell. Hit enter. And we can see we got the exact same number. So we know the program worked correctly. So again, this really is beneficial for data sets which are, all the way down the page, and you don't necessarily have time to go through and add up each individual cell. So that's kind of where this sum if function comes into play.